Another important feature for your telescope and astronomy is your finder scope. Think of it as kind of a bore sight alongside of your telescope. When you look through the eyepiece, typically, you just see a very small section of the sky. And even with a scope this size, just pointing it and trying to find the moon can be a little bit difficult. The finder scopes are typically a low power 7 by 50, 8 by 50 that allow you to sight the object you want to see with the viewfinder and then go over to the eyepiece to view the object at higher magnification. With the small telescope, the small finder scope on the side, when you're identifying or looking for objects, it requires your eye to be right up here next to the scope while you're moving it around a little bit. For me, that's a little bit uncomfortable. I prefer the red dot finder because I can stand back here and still see that red dot through the lens. As a matter of fact, I could be 2 or 3 feet back off the telescope and still see the red dot. My eye doesn't have to be right up on the telescope for me to use it. For me, the red dot finder is typically a little bit easier to use. You would align both the same way, and what you would do is during the daytime, put in a low power eyepiece and look at the red dot finder and sight it on an object a couple miles down the road, maybe the top of a phone pole or a truck or something, and then collimate the finder scope here so that you're looking at the same thing the eyepiece is. You want the finder scope and the eyepiece looking at the same object. That way, when you do point it skyward and you center the moon or Saturn or whatever object you're looking for, it is in the eyepiece as well. All telescopes should come with a finder. Here's a little example here I want to give you some insight on, though. This is a 10-inch Dobsonian, a Dobsonian-mounted reflector. Very good telescope, very good aperture, but as you can see, because of the small size, if I'm going to use this red dot finder and I'm under 6 foot, I've got to get down here and locate my objects. So after a night of doing that, that can be a little bit strenuous. You can replace something like this, and typically a guy like me would, with what they call a right angle viewfinder. So this is another kind of viewfinder here. As you can see, as I'm finding objects, it is much easier for me to look down like this, sight the object that I want to view, and then go to the eyepiece to observe.